Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Alexi and this is Soto-Tek. In this video, I'm going to let you know my favorite phones of 2020 in order of preference. These are only the ones I have used, only 8, and not all of them are actually from 2020. But I feel that even in 2020, they offer better experience and value for money than many released this year. First, I want to start by saying that this will be based only and solely on my own experience and needs with these phones, and that whatever phone you have, if you are happy with it, stay happy with it. This has been a weird, difficult year, and you might need to prioritize other things rather than worry about the phone you have. Before getting into the video, if you like the video and the content of my channel, please give it a like and consider subscribing. I will really appreciate it. Number 8, iPhone 11. If you are an iPhone user, you should probably be happy with this one. It is a typical iPhone with the limitations most iPhone users are used to, but a good phone overall. In my case, I don't like this big, unnecessary notch cutting into the screen. To make matters worse, you can't even hide it like you can on many Android copycats. I still consider this a design flaw that shouldn't have been present on any phone, and I still cannot get over it, but that's just me. No headphone jack, only 2 unlocking methods, the passcode and Face ID. Face ID is very good, but not 100% reliable in all situations, especially in a dim environment. This phone would have benefited with a fingerprint reader as an extra unlocking method, either under the display, at the back, or on the power button, my favorite place. Expensive base model of just 64GB with no microSD card. No multi-window split screen. Low levels customization, though a little bit better than it used to since iOS 14 update. Difficult to use with one hand. The one-handed mode, reachability mode, is not very practical. It is very difficult to reach the other corner of the phone with your thumb, and on top of that, it goes back to full screen very quickly. I'm not really a fan of the keyboard with no numbers at the top. I much prefer it like this. The camera is very good, but I'm not really overimpressed by it. You can find much cheaper phones with cameras with similar quality or better. I think that in terms of value for money, I will give it 5 out of 10. Now, if you are an iPhone 11 user, be happy to know that it is the best-selling phone worldwide in 2020. Not the phone for me, but that's impressive, so well done, Apple. Number 7, iPhone 8 Plus. Most of the things that apply to the iPhone 11 also apply to the iPhone 8 Plus, like no headphone jack, no multi-window split screen, limited customization, not a very practical one-handed mode, etc. Now, the reason I prefer it over the iPhone 11 are 1. Though it also has only 2 unlocking methods, I prefer Touch ID over Face ID. However, I think this one should have also been released with some kind of Face ID to unlock it. 2. My main reason to prefer it over the iPhone 11 is the screen. No notch, it is a clear and clean, very nice 1080p screen, that it is actually bigger and better than the screen on the iPhone 11 when you watch content, with the default aspect ratio without zooming in, and when you zoom in, on the iPhone 11, you get a disruptive notch, plus you lose content on the screen. That doesn't happen on the 8 Plus. The camera has some limitations compared to the iPhone 11, like no ultra-wide angle lens, no night mode or portrait mode on the front-facing camera. Still, despite that, I prefer it over the 11, especially given the current price you can get it for nowadays. Value for money, 6 out of 10, because there are other phones at the same price with better specs, but this is an iPhone, right? Number 6, Pixel 4a. I think it is a great offer and a good value for money in general, especially for people who prefer small compact phones. Personally, it was too small for my liking. I think Google should have released a bigger variant, 6.5, 6.7 inches would have been great. I'm okay with the stock Android, but I prefer a little bit of extra flavor added by brands like Samsung, LG, Xiaomi, etc. No microSD card, but at least the base model is 128 GB at just 350 pounds, euros or dollars. It has a headphone jack, which is a massive yes for me. Sadly, only two unlocking methods, PIN number and fingerprint reader at the back. My main reason to get it was for the camera, especially the selfie camera, which I have always liked, and in this department, I have to say I wasn't too convinced, especially with the nighttime pictures and videos, but maybe my expectations was too high. Also, just 1080p 30 frames per second video recording with the front-facing camera. For these reasons, it will be 7 out of 10 in terms of value for money. Number 5, the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. This one might come as a surprise, but I'll explain why. I have said many times before that I'm a massive fan of Samsung's Note series. It has been my favorite phone since the Note 3. I skipped the Note 10 Plus last year because I was disappointed by what Samsung did to it, removing nice features I have always enjoyed, like the heart rate monitor and especially the headphone jack, after mocking and bullying Apple with those stupid ingenious apps for doing so. This year I thought, well, let's get the Note 20 Ultra and start getting over the resentment, but nope. This phone is ridiculously overpriced with less useful features than before. Yes, I absolutely love the big screen, the more advanced S Pen features, and the amazing live focus video, but I'm not really impressed and satisfied like I used to. The battery life is not great either. This phone should have come with a much bigger battery, no less than 6000 mAh, minimum 5500 mAh, period. I'm not even that impressed by the camera either, which is possibly one of its main selling points, especially when compared with much cheaper phones. I'm actually disappointed with some shots. I just don't think the Note is the most complete phone in the market anymore. It's no longer the Swiss Army knife in the smartphone industry like it used to be. Value for money, 7 out of 10. Number 4, the Poco X3 NFC. I'm pleasantly surprised by this phone. Great value for money. It's not perfect by any means. It has some shortcomings, but from the hardware and main part of the software point of view, it's all what the average consumer needs. Excellent battery life, good camera, very nice design, fingerprint reader on the power button, my favorite place for it, headphone jack, a very good and vibrant 1080p LCD display, only ruined by this hole punch, and it is IP53 water splash resistant. I just don't like Xiaomi skin too much except the camera UI, which I actually prefer over Samsung's camera UI. Things like being able to change the video resolution more easily, plus also having a more straightforward video resolution denomination, 4K 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second, simple, like iPhones actually, not the long number mess Samsung has. Also, you can access more modes by instead of swiping all the way to the right, you can change it in the camera settings and access it by swiping up from the bottom. Samsung had something similar until Android 8, if I remember correctly, but unfortunately it decided to change it to the way it is now. Also, I don't like the music app too much either. Of course, you can change all that with a launcher like Nova Launcher or one of the music apps from the Play Store, but we are talking about what the phone comes with by default. It also comes with Air Blaster to use it as a control remote for your TV and other devices, which is rare nowadays. For that, I will give it 7 out of 10 in terms of value for money. Number 3, the Galaxy M51. Like the Poco X3, another pleasant surprise. Not perfect either, and also with few shortcomings, but very good value for money. This phone has an amazing battery life of 2 days or even more. Fingerprint on the power button, headphone jack, also a very good and vibrant 1080p display, but in this case Super AMOLED with always on display. Unfortunately also ruined by this silly hole punch. A shame that there is no secure folder or good luck app, but hopefully they will be added in the future. It has a good camera setup that needs a couple of improvements, but good enough for the price. It even has video recording at 4K 30 frames per second with a front-facing camera. For this, I would also give it 8 out of 10 in terms of value for money. Number 2. The Galaxy Note 10 Lite. A great phone and part of the series I love from Samsung. I think it's probably Samsung's most underrated phone of 2020. Good battery life, another excellent 1080p Super AMOLED screen, and I will say for the last time, only ruined by this hole punch, sadly. It also comes with the headphone jack. It has a very good camera setup with just the 3 necessary lenses, main, ultra-wide, and 2x telephoto. Not the nonsense of macro lens or depth sensor, which are only for marketing purposes. It can record 4K videos at 60 frames per second with both cameras, rear and front. And yes, what I love the most, the beloved S Pen with lots of good features and 3 years of OS updates guarantee. I have enjoyed this phone a lot, and at the current price of under £400, dollars or Europe is a great choice. I will give it a 9 out of 10. Now, before letting you know my favorite phone of the year, if you like the video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I will really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you get the notifications of future videos. And my favorite phone of the year, and for the second year in a row, is the Beast, the King, the Galaxy Note 9. This phone is still a beast. It is still Samsung's most complete phone up to date. It comes with basically everything except Air Blaster, the steel Swiss Army knife of the smartphone industry. Excellent WQHD Plus Super AMOLED display, which is still better than most phones released this year. And the best of all, no notches or hole punches of any kind. Sweet. It has iris scanner, Face ID, a reliable fingerprint reader at the back. Not my favorite place, but it is there. Headphone jack, stereo speakers, IP68 water and dust resistant. The camera is still good. The only weak point now is the selfie camera, mainly indoors, but it can still easily compete and beat other phones in this list like the iPhone 8 Plus and even the Poco X3 in most situations. You won't get any more Android updates, but I don't care. For now, Android 10 with Samsung One UI 2.5 is good enough for me and all I need. Android 11 with Samsung One UI 3.0 doesn't really bring big changes, just small tweaks for the most part. In a nutshell, this is the phone I have enjoyed the most this year again, and is still my mainly driver for now and the foreseeable future. And at the current price, for even under £400, euros and dollars, it is a great buy. For that, I will give it a solid 9 out of 10. There you go, the list of phones I have used this year in order of preference. What about you? What's your favorite phone and why? Leave your comment down below. See you in the next one. Hasta la vista.